There was a time when I thought the world would shape my future. I waited, I hoped. But the more I waited, the more I realized life isn't about waiting for a miracle, it's about becoming one. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you not just as a speaker, but as a reminder that your scars, your setbacks, your silence can all become the brushstrokes of a beautiful painting, only if you choose to hold the brush. The topic today is Make Your Own Future, and I want you to remember one thing. Your future is not written in the stars. It is written in your strength, your struggle, and your story. So today, let's stop waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel and become the light ourselves. They say the future is unknown, unpredictable, and uncontrollable. But what they forget to tell you is this: even the unknown begins with a choice, one single decision to rise. That's how your future begins, not with a prophecy, but with your permission. There was a time in my life when I thought that life was something that happened to me. I used to believe that pain was a punishment and failure a final verdict. I waited for better days, hoping that someday the world would change its mind about me. But that day never came, and when it didn't, I stopped waiting. That was the moment I realized that my future wasn't hiding in the distance, it was buried beneath the weight of my excuses. You see, we are taught to dream, but not to decide. We are encouraged to aim high, but not to build the wings ourselves. The truth is, your future doesn't fall from the sky, it rises from within you. From the part of you that refuses to quit, from the voice that whispers, try again. Even when the world is screaming, you can't. Making your own future begins not with a plan, but with the belief that you deserve one. But believing is not easy, especially when life gives you every reason to doubt yourself, when your own reflection feels unfamiliar, when your story is stitched together with pain, disappointment, and dreams that never got their chance to breathe. Still, I want you to know, even broken crayons can color again. Even cracked foundations can carry castles. Your past doesn't disqualify you from your future, in fact. It prepares you for it. There is a strange kind of beauty in pain. It makes you humble. It softens the sharp edges of pride and teaches you to rise gently, not with arrogance, but with gratitude. And it's in that quiet rising that you start creating, not from perfection, but from persistence. Not from having it all, but from using what little you do have with all your heart. I have met people who lost everything: their health, their family, their confidence, their voice. And yet, I've seen those very people create futures that were not just successful, but meaningful. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait to be chosen. They chose themselves over and over again. And every time life pushed them down, they rose like the sun, not because they were never broken, but because they were not afraid to begin again. That is the essence of making your own future. You begin again. You gather the broken pieces. You redefine what success means. You stop comparing your story to others and start asking, what makes my heart come alive? You stop chasing perfect moments and start creating purposeful ones. And when no one claps, when no one notices, when the journey gets lonely, you keep going anyway. Because making your own future is not about applause. It's about alignment. It's about waking up every day knowing that you are building something that matters even if no one sees it yet. So many of us are waiting for the right time. But let me tell you this, there is no perfect moment to begin. The only perfect time is the one you create. It's when you stop letting fear sit in the driver's seat. When you stop letting the opinions of others drown out the sound of your own truth. When you stop being loyal to your comfort zone and start being loyal to your calling. There will be moments when you doubt the journey. When progress feels invisible, when your steps feel small and your strength feels spent. But remember, mountains are not moved in leaps, they are moved in layers. And each small step you take, each hard decision you make, Each silent victory you claim, they are all bricks in the foundation of your future. Pain will visit, failure will visit, but so will growth. So will wisdom, so will strength you never knew you had. Making your future is not about avoiding the storm, it's about learning how to dance in the rain, even when the world expects you to drown. And so I ask you, with all the love and honesty in my heart, what are you waiting for? Most people live their lives trying to fit into boxes they were never meant to belong in. They dress themselves in expectations, wrap their voices in silence, and wear someone else's idea of success like a mask they cannot remove. But let me tell you something I learned the hard way. You cannot build your future with borrowed dreams. The moment you try to become someone else, you lose the most powerful tool you have, your authenticity. To make your own future, you must first come home to yourself. And that journey, the journey inward, is often the most terrifying, because it forces you to face everything you've tried to hide. The fear of failure, the fear of being seen, the fear of not being enough. But unless you walk through that fear, it will always be the invisible wall between you and the life you were meant to live. We are conditioned from a young age to follow the path that has been walked before. Choose the safe career, seek validation, stay silent if your truth makes others uncomfortable. But no great future was ever created by staying quiet. No legacy was ever born from playing small. The people who leave a mark on this world are the ones who had the courage to stand up and say, "This is me," flawed, uncertain, afraid, but still showing up. And showing up is half the battle. Showing up when you're scared. Showing up when nobody claps for you. Showing up when your voice shakes, your hands tremble, and your path is unclear. Because every time you show up for yourself, you are building the muscles of your future. You are telling life, "I may not know where this road ends, but I will walk it anyway." There will always be noise from society, from family, from the voices in your own head. They will say you're too much or not enough. Too loud, too soft, too bold, too naive, but the truth is, their noise only has power when you start listening to it more than you listen to yourself. So learn to tune into your own frequency, the one that speaks not in shouts, but in quiet knowing. That voice within you, the one that whispers when all else is silent, that is the voice that knows your future. Sometimes building your future means disappointing people. It means outgrowing the version of yourself that made others comfortable. It means saying no, even when your heart wants to please. It means breaking free from the expectations that were never yours to carry in the first place. And yes, it will hurt. Yes, you will lose people. But you will find something far more valuable. You will find yourself, and when you do, everything changes, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you, and you start rescuing yourself. You stop seeking approval and start honoring your own intuition. You stop measuring your worth by numbers, by likes, by applause, and start defining it by the quiet moments when you chose integrity over popularity, courage over comfort, truth over tradition. To make your own future, you must also accept the truth that not everything will go according to plan. Sometimes the door you prayed would open will slam shut. Sometimes the thing you thought was meant for you will break your heart. But even in those moments, life is not punishing you, it is redirecting you. Because the things that fall apart are often the things that were never meant to hold you. And just because something is difficult doesn't mean it's not meant for you. In fact, some of the most beautiful futures are born in the most uncomfortable seasons. Growth is not always graceful. Sometimes it feels like breaking. But in that breaking, you discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. Strength, patience, purpose. You realize that your scars are not the end of your story, they are the beginning of a new chapter. People often ask, "What if I fail?" But I ask, What if you fly? What if the very thing you're afraid of is the doorway to the life you've been waiting for? What if everything you've been through, the pain, the rejection, the doubt, was preparing you to become the kind of person who doesn't just dream, but creates, who doesn't just survive, but transforms? When you begin to live from that place, from your own truth, your own passion, your own values, you stop trying to fit into the world. You start building a world that fits you. They say time changes everything, but what truly changes your life is your response to time. Every second is an invitation, a quiet question life asks you. Will you simply exist, or will you evolve? Most people are waiting for clarity, for confidence, for the perfect sign, as if life hands out certainty like rewards for good behavior. But the truth is, certainty does not come before action. It comes after. You don't wait for the path to be clear. You walk, and with each step, the path begins to reveal itself. So many dreams have died in the graveyard of hesitation. So many futures have faded, not because they were impossible, but because someone was too afraid to begin. Fear, when left unchallenged, becomes a habit, a voice that gets louder every time you choose to stay still. It dresses up as logic, it hides behind reason, but deep down, it is just fear, fear of failing, of being judged, of not being who the world expects you to be. But fear is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It shows you exactly where you need to go. If it scares you, there is power in it. If it makes your heart beat faster, it probably holds the future you've been searching for. Action is the antidote to fear. Not grand gestures, not sudden leaps. Just movement, honest, imperfect, intentional movement. Because it's not the size of your steps that matters. It's the direction. It's the decision to show up, even when it would be easier to disappear. It's the decision to say yes to growth, even when staying the same feels safer. No one creates their future by waiting for it to feel comfortable. The people who build something meaningful are the ones who kept moving when nothing made sense. They kept showing up when the world gave them every reason to give up. But taking action doesn't mean having it all figured out. It doesn't mean you'll never feel lost or unsure. It means you trust yourself enough to try. You trust your heart to guide you more than the noise that surrounds you. You trust your values more than your fears. And you trust that even when the results aren't immediate, the effort still matters. Because every act of courage, no matter how small, creates momentum. Every choice you make to move forward, even if it's slow, even if it's messy, sends a message to life itself. I am ready. This readiness is not about being fearless. It's about knowing that fear has no final say in your future. You may fall, you may stumble, you may have days when the weight of trying feels heavier than your hope. But forward is still forward, even if you're crawling. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to take one small step while still holding hands with your doubt. Some people will misunderstand your journey. They will ask why you're working so hard for something they can't see. They'll question your dreams because they can't hear the calling that only speaks to you. That's okay. Your purpose doesn't need to be understood by everyone. It only needs to be honored by you. Not everyone was meant to see your vision. Not everyone was meant to walk beside you. Some people were only there to remind you of the noise you must rise above, and you will rise. Not because the path is easy, but because the fire inside you refuses to be extinguished. That fire, your passion, your truth, your resilience, it will guide you through the darkness. It will remind you that progress doesn't always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like tears, like silence, like simply not giving up. But that is still progress. That is still strength. You have a voice. You have a mind. You have a heart that knows what it was born to do. You do not need permission to begin. You do not need a roadmap written by someone else. You are not lost, you are in the process of becoming. and becoming is messy and unpredictable, and filled with moments where nothing feels certain except the pull inside your soul that says, there is more. There will be resistance from the world, from your own fear, from the old version of you that wants to stay small. But every time you choose movement over stagnation, growth over fear, truth over comfort, you take one step closer to a life you don't need to escape from. A life that feels like your own because it was built by your own hands. Sometimes when we look at others who have made it, the authors, the leaders, the creators, the visionaries, we see the results, but we don't see the resistance they faced. We see the destination, not the detours. We forget that every extraordinary future was once a fragile idea, held together by nothing more than belief and the quiet refusal to give up. The truth is, greatness is not born in comfort. It is born in persistence, in the quiet hours when no one is watching, in the lonely mornings when doubt is loud and motivation is nowhere to be found, but you keep going anyway. This is what truly builds a future, not luck, not privilege, not perfection, but consistency, even when it's hard. The world celebrates outcomes, but it rarely celebrates the courage it takes to start again after failure. The bravery it takes to rebuild when everything falls apart. The discipline it takes to keep showing up when the results are invisible and the road ahead is unclear. But that is where your future is formed, in the invisible effort, in the unseen fight, in the moments you push forward, not because anyone is cheering you on, but because you promised yourself you would. That promise to yourself is sacred. It is the seed of your future. Water it with discipline. Protect it with self-respect and watch what grows from it. Your future does not need to be loud. It doesn't need to be Instagram worthy or polished to perfection. Sometimes making your future means making small decisions no one notices, choosing healing over bitterness, choosing growth over comfort, choosing honesty over popularity. These choices might seem small, even invisible to the world, but they are everything, because every time you choose the path that aligns with your values, even when it's hard, you are laying another stone in the foundation of a life that is real, a life that reflects who you are and what you believe in. One of the most powerful things you can do for your future is protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your dreams. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. The more you grow, the more you will need to be intentional about what you allow into your space, the people, the thoughts, the habits, the environments. Your energy is not infinite. Spend it wisely. Spend it on what builds you, not what drains you. You do not owe anyone your future. You owe it to yourself. It is also important to understand that building your own future doesn't mean controlling every detail. Life will surprise you. It will redirect you. Sometimes it will break your heart, but within that breaking, there is a quiet invitation to surrender, to trust, to flow. Surrender is not weakness. It is the strength to release what you cannot control, so you can focus your power on what you can, your mindset, your effort, your attitude, your response. Because no matter what happens around you, you still hold the power to choose who you become because of it. There will be days when progress feels like standing still, days when nothing seems to move, when your goals feel distant and your energy is low. But those are the days that matter most, because those are the days when your character is built. Not the days when everything is going well, but the days when it isn't and you still choose to show up with grace, with grit, with your head held high. That's how strong futures are built, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not with certainty, but with unwavering faith that the light will return. Sometimes making your own future also means allowing yourself to evolve, to outgrow the goals you once held onto tightly, to forgive yourself for what didn't work out, to create new definitions of success that actually align with your soul. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to pivot. You are allowed to begin again, because you are not here to live the same day 10 zeros, 0 time. You are here to rise, to stretch, to learn, to break patterns, to tell a different story than the one the world expected of you. And as you write that story, don't be afraid to dream without apology. Don't shrink your future to make others feel comfortable. Don't wait for proof that you can do it. Let your decision be the proof. Let your determination be the evidence. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are not too broken. You are exactly who you need to be to begin. And the moment you decide to trust yourself truly, deeply, fiercely, you become unstoppable. So now, as I stand before you not just as a speaker, but as a fellow traveler on this unpredictable journey of life, I want to remind you of something simple, yet profound. You are not here to live someone else's script. You are here to write your own. You are the author. You are the painter. You are the builder. And every day that you rise despite your doubts, every time you choose courage over comfort, every moment you speak your truth when it would be easier to stay silent, you are shaping a future that belongs entirely to you. It won't be perfect. It won't be easy, but it will be yours, built not from certainty, but from strength, not from shortcuts, but from scars, not from what the world expected of you, but from what your soul quietly whispered was possible. So don't wait for a sign, don't wait for permission. The future is not waiting for someone else, it is waiting for you. Make it bold, make it brave, make it yours.